Hi everybody. I want to take a minute to tell you about some of our activities in our riding. We have a little bit of a problem with the planning staff at the City of Ottawa regarding rural severances off rural farm properties or rural properties of land. Currently, the official plan of the City of Ottawa allows for a person who owns land to sever off one lot, which would be 2 acres in size, from their rural property, so long as it's not prime farmland. This has always been the case for many years, but about 4 years ago, planning staff took it upon themselves to place a condition on these severances whereby you had to meet a water condition or a water quality condition for well water for the lot. And they've applied the Ministry of the Environment D55 water quality guideline as a condition of severance. Now, this D55 guideline from the Ministry of the Environment is just a guideline. It's not a regulation, not a requirement by the provincial government. But the planning staff took it upon themselves to make it a requirement, a must-do thing, a must-do standard for these lot severances to be approved. So what happens now is a landowner would apply for the lot severance to the Committee of Adjustment, pay his fee of $2,700 or so, apply to the Committee of Adjustment, and if he meets all the conditions of the official plan or requirements of the official plan, his lot is approved, except he has to meet this D55 water guideline requirement that the planning staff have placed on these severances. What that means is you have to have a water sample that you can demonstrate meets the standard of this guideline. And to do that, it means you have to drill a well. Well, drilling a well is expensive. It could be in the order of $10,000. Then you have to hire an engineer to write an engineer's hydrogeological report defining that the water meets the guideline. So the guideline defines that a certain quantity of water would be necessary, that the water would be healthy to drink, meaning no E. coli, no bacteria. And then it applies to certain aesthetic parameters, which would be taste, color, and smell, and defines that certain elements like iron, fluoride, or sulfates would be not any higher than a particular number of parts per million in the water. So one man I know at Fitzroy Harbor named Dale Murphy applied for a lot 2 years ago. It was approved. He drilled the well because he knew where he wanted to drill the well, because he was giving the lot to his son to live on his farm with his young wife and his baby, and the son wanted to live on the family farm. And so when he drilled the well, they never thought anything of it because they had good water in the family's house, which was 200 feet away. The water test came back saying there was lots of water, it was safe to drink, but sulfates were very high. Now the engineer said you could put a device on the well and bring the sulfate level down to the defined maximum limit that this guideline calls for, and therefore Dale Murphy should get his lot. The city engineer said, well, I'm sorry, the water sample didn't meet the guideline, so Dale Murphy didn't get his lot, and he spent $17,000, and that's over. His money is gone. He has no lot. His son won't get to build a house and raise his family there. And they called me and asked me for help, and we've been trying to help Dale. The Committee of the Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee refused to let Dale and I present to them to ask them to consider that his water could be treated and therefore he should get a lot. So we were forbidden from the opportunity to present to a Democratic committee at the City of Ottawa Council, and democracy was removed. So there's been a change of tact. The Carleton Landowners Association, led by Shirley Dolan and with my help, is going to the Agricultural and Rural Affairs Standing Committee and asking them to reconsider. And this time, we're not talking about one person's property. We're asking the Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee, which is 5 councillors, Stephen Blaze, Doug Thompson, Scott Moffat, Shad Caudry, and Eli El-Shantiri, and we're going to ask them to vote on the question of removing that MOE D55 water guideline as a requirement to get a severance approved. And then the water would become the responsibility of the landowner, the way it always used to be, and the way it is for all of the counties surrounding rural Ottawa. So that is what our project is. We're running into considerable resistance again from city councillors, which is unfortunate. We've been talking to many people, and we need lots of help. We're going to, Shirley Dolan did present to ARAC on February the 6th and submitted a report asking for the removal of this D55 as a condition of severance. We are planning to go back to a second meeting, as Doug Thompson, the chair, instructed us to do. We're hoping that will be on May 1st in West Carleton Township, and we're going to ask them to vote on the question of removing this condition, this D55 guideline, as a condition of severance. But we need some help, people. Go to my website, if you would, jackmclarenmpp.com. You'll find a place where you can sign up and help us. We'd like you to phone the counselors and tell them you want this condition removed. You want them to vote yes. And there will be letters that you could send to the counselors. The more letters and the more phone calls we can get, the more help that is. The city councilors need to hear that in rural Ottawa, this is what we want, and we want them to help us. Thank you very much.